folks, welcome back. Tonight we're going to talk about actually editing a photo in Lightroom using the Develop module. So if you are with me tonight, maybe you could bring a photo into your Lightroom. You could walk through this with me as I do this. All right, let's start. So let's look at this photo and see what the histogram tells us and what some of the information on the image tells us. What I can see by looking at the image right away is that I have some blown out highlights in the background, meaning I exposed for my model but didn't take into account that I would blow out all of my background. I've lost detail and color and information behind him in the background. So what I want to do is see how much of that I can bring back without affecting his coloring, his tone, his color, his highlights, his shadows. So I want to separate the two and work on them separately. So first I'm going to say to myself, what do I want this photo to look like? And if you can see up here in this little window snapshot in the navigator screen over here on the left, you can see that I did lose a lot of detail. It's blown out, but I don't want it to be the focal point of the photo either. I want my model to be the main idea in the photo, but I still want people to know that that is a Pittsburgh bridge. It is yellow, and it was a nice sunny day. Over here, I can see exactly where I blew it out. I can also see on the histogram that I have a lot of clipping on the highlight end of my histogram. Here are my settings, and here's what we're going to be working on. So I'm going to first try to adjust some of this here using the local adjustment brush. So you click on the local adjustment brush, you double click effect, and I'm going to bring down some of the highlights. So I'm going to take my highlights and my whites down a bit just to see if that's enough or too much. I'm going to click my mask overlay so I can see exactly where I'm painting. I can adjust my brush size by using the decrease brush size on my keyboard. One click and it took away the clipping. However, it's still very blown out. So let's just paint over this whole entire area just so you can see what masking does locally when you're using the adjustment brush. So let's just say I did this part of the image with the masking. Let me just get this all painted on there so I didn't miss any. It looks pretty good, albeit my straight line across the bottom. Now you can see exactly where I have the mask drawn on. This is where I'm going to apply the settings that I'm going to make. So there's where my mask is. I'm going to turn the mask off just so you can see on the photo what's happening as I do my local adjustments. So let's come over here and take my exposure down. Where I drew that mask on is just affecting the exposure. Again, the contrast of it and the highlights of it. So these sliders are now only affecting the place where I have the mask drawn on. And again, by showing that, this is the area of the photo that's affecting only this area. Let me turn the mask back off and let's see what we can get. Let's try to bring some of that detail back and see what it looks like. So we just move our sliders left and right to see what the effect could be at the very end of our changes. So you can see in the little snapshot over here with your navigator panel that the area that I masked is now a lot darker than the area that's not masked. If I continued to paint onto my picture, that same mask, it's now going to affect everywhere else that I paint the mask on. So you can see I can now make all of that background darker. If you don't like what you've done, you have two options. You can go up here and click and make a little hand appear over the black circle. This black circle is actually your mask. It's what you painted onto the picture. If you take that and you slide that down, you can adjust now where that mask is being applied. Instead of the mask being painted up here, I've moved the mask down here and I've painted it across the bottom of the photo. Again, if I move this up to the middle, I've now changed the mask to the middle of the photo. If I don't like the mask at all, I can right click and I can delete. If I like that mask and want to use it somewhere else on the photo, I can duplicate it. I can delete or duplicate by right clicking, or I could come down here to the reset button and completely reset my photo back to the basic where it started at. But that will also affect anything else you've done to your photo. So when you're masking, I suggest that you just delete the mask or tweak the mask before you delete it to see if maybe you can fix it to the way that you like. I'm going to delete it. Now my photo will be back to where we started because we did no other adjustments other than working on that mask. Had I worked on the other adjustments, let's close this and let's just say I did increase the exposure and I did increase the highlights and I did increase the whites and I lowered the blacks, and that's what my photo is going to look like now. And if I masked and I reset, I would lose all of these adjustments also. So it's very important to remember what you want to keep for the photo. There is an option of doing snapshots where you can take a snapshot of your photo as you're working on it. And you can work and work and work on it. But then, so I'm going to go back in now and I'm going to darken it and make it contrasty and drop the highlights, and drop the shadows. And this is what my new image looks like. And I'm going to take a snapshot. My image is very dark now. But if I want to go back to what it looked like just minutes ago, I have that image. The snapshot's very good tool to be able to go back to where you were at on that photo and say, oh, I remember I liked it before I did that to it. So instead of losing everything by resetting it, you can go back to somewhere in time while you're editing and keep and use that version. Then if you didn't like this version, you can simply delete that snapshot and then keep continuing. And then go back to this one and start working again. So there's several ways of using the adjustment tools that you can delete or go back and change what you're working on without losing all of your changes. I just wanted to show you how the adjustment brush worked tonight. I wanted to give you a little idea about the snapshot, the reset button, the masking tool, and how you can start to affect and adjust your images. These are some basic learning tools that will help us as we increase our tutorials with you to be a little more detailed and involved. So these basic ones are just getting you started using all the different tools. They're going to be short and sweet, pretty, easygoing, and not too detailed. So I want you guys just to take an image into Lightroom or one of your editing software programs and just learn to use the adjustment brush, and then how you can learn to back out of those adjustments, delete those adjustments, or alter those adjustments. And then we're going to continue onward, and we'll get more detailed and structured instructions on doing some real fine-tuning to our images. All right, guys, I hope that video helped a little bit, and keep practicing. Bye.